Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Kellen here again with Droid Life. And well, we've already unboxed this thing. You guys know this. This is the Google Pixel Watch. But we thought we'd do something a little different with a smartwatch for the first time. We run this first 10 things to do series with phones where we tell you the first 10 things you should do with a phone to start getting the most out of it right away. And this is a pretty important little device that I think some people might be picking up. So we're going to do the same here. Let's do the first 10 things to do with your Google Pixel Watch. All right, so if we're talking the first 10 things to do, well, first of all, let's take this off. And I want to make sure that we all know how to change a watch band. So changing a watch band, we talked about this quickly in our unboxing video, but Google's got a bunch of nice proprietary bands. Hopefully some people make some more affordable third-party options. But it's not just a straightforward, swap in some new band on just standard like a 20 millimeter lug. So there's a little bit of work here. So let's work on how to do this. So if you look on, so if I'm holding the watch this way and I kind of rotate it this way, you'll notice right here, there's this little sort of half circle thing right here. Okay, so that's actually a button. And then if we flip it over to this side also has that same thing. So to get a band off, we push that. So that actually pushes in, and then we slide the band towards it and over top of it. So you push down and slide, and then it comes off. So that's how you take it off. And then if you want to put one back on, you kind of just do the opposite. So you don't have to press this button in first. You just kind of slot the band on top of that, and then it slides over. So there it is. And it kind of makes a little clicking sound to get in there. So I'll show you that one more time. So we press this button and then slide this over on top and it comes off. And then to get it back on, we start on that button and sort of just slide our way over. And that's it. So now your band is on. So that's how you can swap them. And again, there's a bunch of bands. The watches all come with this active band, which costs like $50, but there are fabric bands made with recycled materials. There's leather bands, and we even have metal bands on the way. But it's a proprietary system. You can't just go on Amazon and buy it, whatever. So anyway, that is how you swap a band. That out of the way, let's talk about actual software features or watch features you should maybe think about changing right away. So the number one, and this is going to be this is an unfortunate one, and it may ruffle some feathers, but I would suggest turning off the always on display. So an always on display is what looks like this, where the watch stays on all of the time. I have mine set to off. So if I flip it back, you can see the watch face went off. Now, if I had an always on display, that would have come on. I have it set to just tilt to wake. So as I tilt it forward to look at it, it comes on. The reason I think you should turn always on display off is the battery in this thing is pretty tiny. The watch doesn't charge that fast. And if you want to get from the morning all the way through the night with sleep tracking until the next day, I kind of think you have to turn it off. So my first couple of days of testing, I had it on and did some workouts, tried to sleep. And one of the nights I actually had to throw it on the charger before I went to bed just to make sure it would get me sleep tracked all the way through the night. So to turn that off, you actually swipe this down. And this bottom one here is the settings. So we go into settings and we're going to look for display. And then we scroll all the way down. There is a toggle right here for always on screen. So if you toggle that off, it will turn your always on display off. And again, you can have it waked every time you either touch it or tilt your wrist as I showed you, or you can roll the dice and just have it always on. If you don't do a bunch of workouts and so you're not constantly tracking things like that, and maybe you don't even want to track sleep and you take it off at night, feel free to leave that on. But if you're doing all the tracking, you basically need to wear it for 24 hours straight, I would suggest turning that off. And so with that off, let's talk about how to actually use your watch. Let's just make sure everyone knows how to navigate it. So when you're here, home screen, you're looking at it. Well, it's on your wrist and you're looking at it. The first thing you should know is how to change a bunch of quick settings. So swipe down from the top gets you into quick settings. You got a bunch of stuff up here. If you want to do Google Home controls, there is a shortcut up there so you can control all your Google Home devices. Next to that is this locks the actual touch. So if you're doing a workout and you don't want to bump it, or for some reason you're doing an activity where maybe you don't want any touch interaction, that's exactly what that would do. This is actually a shortcut to a flashlight. Over here we have Google Wallet shortcut to set that up. Airplane mode. The middle one actually will beep your phone. will beep your phone in case you lose your phone. The next one over here is a brightness adjuster. I would just leave adaptive brightness on there. It actually seems to do a pretty good job. Then we have nighttime or bedtime mode. So it turns off notifications in your screen and stuff like that. It will still let some stuff go through, like alarms and priority and repeat callers. Do not disturb is that one right there in the middle I've turned on. This is theater mode over here. Theater mode just turns the screen off and notifications as you're watching a movie. Here's a shortcut to your battery, and you can tap that and it'll just show you what your percentages in a bigger screen, and also let you turn on battery saver. There's no other details or anything in there. And then there's that shortcut to settings that I showed you earlier. And then this one will turn on the speaker. So when notifications roll in, it'll actually ding for you. And that's pretty much it. So that's where your quick settings are. You can quickly toggle those off. I wish there was an always on display option in here. I believe Samsung has those on their watches. Google does not. If we swipe up from the bottom, then this is where you get to all of your notifications that have rolled in. So you can swipe up from there. You can swipe these left or right to get rid of them, unlike some watches. You can also tap to get into those to reveal more of a notification, but again, you just swipe those away. There's also a clear all button to wipe all of them out. Swipe that down. Then the next thing is you have tiles. So tiles are sort of like a widget that lives off to the left and the right side. And in fact, it's sort of an infinite loop. If I keep scrolling this way, you actually get all the way back to the watch face. I can scroll this way and it just gets you all the way back to the watch face. So tiles are, again, like little widgets. You can see I've got a heart rate one going here that tracks my all day. Here's some shortcuts to Fitbit workouts. There's my sleep from the last night. And here's some timers. There are things like calendar and weather tiles and all of that stuff, and you can set those up. If I swipe over and long press in here, I can hit the plus to add additional tiles, and I can hit these arrows to adjust the layout or the order that they are in. And then when you're done, you can just tap that. So that's where your tiles live. There in Wear OS, there used to be off to this side a Google Assistant panel that showed sort of like your day or an overview of your day. That's now gone. So that's just the swipes left, right, up, and down. If you long press, this will actually let you get into the watch face editor. And I'll show you how you can edit those from your phone as well, which actually might be more fun. But you can scroll through here, pick a different watch face. By the way, just look at this one for a second. How cool is that watch face? Just cool. It's just a cool one. Anyway, so you long press to get in there, and you can edit these by tapping the little pencil button. And if we tap that, you can initially scroll through a bunch of colors using the crown over here. You can see the colors changing on the watch face. And if we swipe over, this is where you can sometimes adjust the layout depending on the watch face. We swipe again, you can see now it's letting me adjust complications. If I swipe over again, there's just an additional settings. This one happens to be for bolding the time. So anyway, that's sort of how you would edit a watch face from the main screen. Next up, we have buttons to deal with. So if we press this button, which is the crown, you just click that in, it opens your app drawer. And once you're in your app drawer, you can scroll through from touch and look through all of the different apps that are on your phone. You can also use the crown and rotate it, and you get a little bit of haptic feedback there, so you can do that. To get home at any time, you can always just press this button again. It'll take you home. So again, pressing that gets you into your app drawer. Pressing that when you're in an app or something like that will get you back home. You could long press this button for about 5 seconds, and it will bring up your power menu, so you can power off, restart, or hit your emergency SOS. There's also a shortcut where if you tap that in 5 times, I believe, in a row, it'll try to alert as an SOS emergency and alert the whoever you've configured that to alert. And then the next thing is this button up here. So if I'm here and I press it once, it brings me up recently launched apps. Okay, so then I can like open the flashlight or something, right? And again, you can swipe this way. I forgot to mention that. So if I'm in an app or a screen, I can almost always swipe from left to right, and that'll take me back a screen, and sometimes it'll take you back home. Again, you can always press this button as well. So that was a single press on that to bring up recents. And then if I double press it, it brings up whatever app I was using recently, and it was indeed the flashlight. And then finally, if you long press on that, it will bring up the Google Assistant. You can also fire up the Google Assistant using that hot word, which I'm not going to do right now. But if you don't want to shout that, you can just long press and that'll get you in there as well. So that is basically how you navigate around your watch. Swiping left to right, up and down, long pressing buttons once, twice, long pressing on them, that sort of thing. That's how you move around. So now that you've seen how to do that all from the watch, we're actually going to put it down and pick up the phone to look through the phone app. So once you install this and get your device all set up, there is a Pixel Watch app, and it's just called Watch. And so when we fire up Watch, this is what it looks like. It tells you the name of your watch up there, shows you your current watch face, if it's connected or not, battery life left, and if you have notifications on or not. You can tap here to go into watch faces, and like that watch face editor I already showed you, you can also swipe through here. If you want to set a watch face, there is a use on watch button that you would just tap right there. And then that will set your watch face. So there we go, set that quickly. You can edit from here by tapping edit. And it takes a second to load, but once you get in here, these are the colors you can scroll through to adjust your watch face to. There's some additional styling that you can adjust in here as well. And then you have your complications, and you can just tap on one of those and change it to whatever you want, like battery or something like that. There's an option for some of these to turn off and on seconds, things like that. These all change depending on the watch face, but you sort of get the idea. I can go back and either keep editing or discard those changes. And if I click save, that will actually save that watch face for how I edited it, and it should then change it on my watch, and it does. So you can do that. You can add new watches to your whole list in case you installed some watches or something like that, and you want them to show up on your watch via long press or just in this little editor up here. And you can just see all of the available watch faces once you do that. So if we go back, you'll also notice there is a tiles shortcut. So I showed you how to edit tiles or move them around from the watch, but you can do that in here as well. And trust me, it's a lot easier to do in here. You can add new ones. So let's say I want to add like a weather widget. It says tile added, and I can then view that. And here's my list. If I want to adjust these, you do have this little 2-bar thing over here, and you can just drag these around. And then if I want to get rid of one, we just tap on the little trash icon, and now it's gone. And that automatically syncs to your watch. There's nothing else you need to do there. So if we stick with the app here, and we'll just scroll down, there are some other areas you might want to look at within this app. And we'll get to these similar settings on the watch as well, because there are some more settings there, if you can believe it. So there's a notification section. This notification will pull up notifications as they roll in from either your phone or watch apps onto your watch. So there's two sections. So from watch apps. So if you actually have, like, say here, a phone app on your watch, call comes through, you'll now have a notification up here that says that was a recent one. Down here, these are obviously recent ones that have come through from your phone. So you can toggle those on and off. I'm one of those that actually usually trims down my notifications. Like I noticed earlier, like Instagram was on here, and I don't really want Instagram notifications hitting my watch all the time. A lot of times I drop it down to just like email, security cameras, calendar, phone, things like that, and then Telegram. And then the rest of the stuff I often turn off because I just don't want all of those notifications showing up. But this is sort of where you can fine tune that. Of course, you can just turn off notifications completely by muting, or then there's this auto turn on notifications for new apps. So as you install new apps on your phone or your watch, it'll automatically allow those to show notifications. If you don't want that to happen, you're going to want to toggle that off. So anyway, notification settings are important, and you'll find those here. And then again, there's some more on the watch. This is where you'll find Google account access stuff. So the number of Google accounts you have on your phone, your Google Wallet account, and then also your Google Assistant setup. You can find that in there. This little section it just says Play Store. And what it does is it loads up sort of a watch or Wear OS shortcut to the Google Play Store. So you can find apps. You can see up here is featured watch faces at the moment, and I'd imagine this page will change some, but it'll show you a bunch of watch faces you might want to consider installing. There's some top free apps, and you can tap this arrow and get over here, and then these are free, but you can actually adjust these and go to top grossing or paid in case you want to look at additional apps. So it's just a shortcut to get to apps. Of course, if you want to install something, let's find something I don't have. So like SoundCloud. Once you're on a page, instead of just tapping install, because that will actually install it on your phone, you're gonna hit this little arrow right here, and then it brings up additional devices you may want to install to, and you can see right there is the Pixel Watch. So I might uncheck these ones and just install it to my Pixel Watch, and it kind of remote installs it then to your watch. So this is one way to look at apps. I will show you the other way from the watch in just a second. So if we back up here though, let's go into watch preferences really quickly. So up here, a couple of options, display and gestures. So if we're up here in display, this is the timeout section. So depending on how fast or quickly or slowly you want your watch to time out when you're not using it. Here's another setting for the always on screen. And then here's tilt to wake and touch to wake. So again, my setup is this, where I have the always on screen off, but tilt and touch to wake are both there in case I want to get into my watch. In security, the only option in here right now is to set up a screen lock for pattern, pin, or none. If you set up Google Wallet, you will have to set up one of these top two. And this is where you would find that. Although once you set up Google Wallet, it'll tell you to do that from during that process. Calendar sync shows you, all the calendars you have synced to your watch. If we go into general, couple of options. Show unread notification is basically on the bottom of the watch down here. See a little white dot there? That little white dot next to the do not disturb icon means I have notifications there, and that's what that is. Auto launch media controls just means if you pull up YouTube Music or Spotify or something like that, it'll pull up those settings for controls for that music app automatically. Kind of a good one if you want to have those controls handy. And then watch orientation. You do this during setup, but if you ever decide to switch your watch to another wrist or you want the crown on a different side, this is where you would adjust that. Next up, we have this mobile network area. So if you have an LTE version, which this actually is, this review unit, this is where you would manage that. I'm not going to walk through that, but this is where you would manage those settings. And that's mostly it outside of system down here. So system, this will show you a little bit of information about your device, serial number, build number that you're on, battery, and your connection. And if we go into versions, this is where you can find where core services, Google Play services for the watch, and what version of the Pixel Watch app you have installed on your phone. You cannot check for updates through this app. You actually have to do that from the watch. So let's switch back to the watch. So if we're back on the watch, swipe down and we get into settings, and you'll notice, like I mentioned, some settings are different here. So the first one here is connectivity, and this is where you can manage your Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and mobile connections. You can turn NFC off and on. If we go into Bluetooth, obviously you're connected to your phone, but if you want to pair to something like a pair of earbuds, you can see those would pop up in here as well, and you could connect to your earbuds. You can see all the earbuds everywhere. Okay, close that. But here's where you can control your Wi-Fi settings as well. It should automatically connect to that stuff via your phone, but here's your mobile connection. Here's your NFC on and off, and also to attach it to Google Pay. And then there is airplane mode. So connectivity, that's where you'll find that rather than through the app. If we go into display, most of this stuff should be the same, although there's a shortcut to change watch face, but we showed you two ways to do that, by long pressing or going into the app. Adjusting brightness, I already showed you a shortcut to that, but here's another option for it in here. Sunlight boost is not something we talked about, but there is an option to have it really boost when you are outdoors in direct sunlight, and you can leave that option on if you want. There's font size, there's that screen timeout, always on screen again is right there. As far as gestures go, it's tilt to wake, touch to wake. Those are in there. That touch lock setting that I showed you earlier is in here as well. Actually, this is a kind of a neat one. If you don't ever want to long press on your watch face to change the watch face, which actually I'm going to toggle this off right now, I would toggle this off because you can still edit watch faces from within your from within the app, and then you aren't accidentally long pressing and pulling up the watch face editor. Apps and notifications, most of this stuff I wouldn't mess with in here because you can get to most of it from there, but you'll see app storage is there. There's also some app permissions and things like that. So you do have a little bit more app controls in case you want to get rid of some apps or something like that from the actual watch. There's access to your Google account. Here's some sound settings. So you can control media volumes in here, call volumes, ring and notification volumes, or alarm volumes, that sort of stuff. And if you want charging sounds to beep and bloop when you do that or unlock the watch, can do that as well. So these settings again are some that aren't in that app. Here's some vibration settings as well. Mostly haptic stuff, and you might as well leave it on because it does feel kind of cool to get vibrations and haptics. I wish there was some additional controls there. This haptic is okay on the digital crown as you scroll, but the actual haptic that vibrates on your wrist when notifications come through, I wish was just a little bit stronger. Here's just another shortcut to that battery page I showed you earlier, which doesn't have much. We go into general, there's that notification dot, auto launch media controls. We already saw that from the phone. Health profile, this is where you would set up all of your health information for Fitbit stuff. Location settings, security, and system. The only interesting thing in here is this is where you would check for system updates. And I am up to date. The first time you boot your watch, though, once you get it, it probably will have an update. So be on the lookout for that. Android 11, and yes, we are, on Android 13 on phones. Wear OS is very different than phones. So we'll still get regular updates for 3 years, but you just may not ever catch up in version to your phone. One other thing to show you, and that is Fitbit connections. So as you know, since you bought this watch, it does come with 6 months of free premium Fitbit Premium. And so you might as well take advantage of that. So I have it set up on the watch to where I swipe over and I track my exercises using this watch through Fitbit because, again, it gave me Fitbit Premium for free. And so you can track everything from sleep and get your readiness score and your heart rate variability and your resting heart rate and all of that stuff. And so when you track exercises using the pre-installed apps, it just automatically syncs to Fitbit, but you do have to connect it there first. So from your phone, you will install the Fitbit app, and I have it right there. And to get started, it's actually quite easy. So you'll log in or create an account with Fitbit if you haven't already. You should get some sort of code or something to set up your Fitbit Premium. And then once you're set up and ready to go, you just have to connect it to your watch. So you tap on your profile, and then there is a setup device option right here. You'll tap on setup device, and then you'll see up here a Pixel Watch, and you'll tap that, and it'll walk you through pairing your watch. And it's pretty easy once you have your watch all set up. This one says replace it, so I'm not going to do that because it'll remove it. But once you're set up, then you can see it's connected here. So Google Pixel Watch, and I can tap that, and it gives me just a couple of options in here. It talks about my firmware version, reminders to move so that I get up and walk around during the day, and then also what my main goal is. Do I want it to be steps, distance, calories, floors, or active zone minutes? And that is talking basically about this section up here. So I have zone minutes as my top thing. So the Fitbit app, I'm not going to give you a tour of this, but you can see I have it set up to show my resting heart rate and sleep the night before, and I'm manually tracking water, but here's my readiness score and days I've worked out, some additional health metrics, stress management, things like that. You can really customize that to even have your weight on there and track that, things like that. So Fitbit Premium is its own thing. We don't need to make a video about that, but that is how you connect it. It's just a tap up here, set up new device, pick the Pixel Watch once you have it set up, and you should be ready to go. So I think that's pretty much it. This was a first attempt at a first 10 things for a watch. So hopefully now you're all set up, ready to rock with your Pixel Watch. If you have comments, questions, let us know. We are Droid Life. Peace.